Hey Jack, what did Luke say about his encounter with the trash compactor monster?
No idea. What did Luke say?
It was an eye-opening experience.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Hmm.
Hello, Star Wars fans, and welcome to episode 89, where we are discussing all the rumours and hearing your thoughts and opinions on everything Star Wars.
Wanna buy some death stick? Jedi.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
Always a pleasure to meet a Jedi. Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy! You failed, Your Highness. I'm a Jedi.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 89. As always, thank you very much for joining me, Jack, Jimmy, and Charlie here at Explore the Force. As always, Jimmy, let's start with you. How's your week been?
Not great. A lot of sickness and illness for myself, and then a lot of sickness and illness at school. I was just telling Charlie off air that I'm having a hard time getting back into things because it's just been so herky jerky with days off and snow days and illness. But I'm excited to get to Sunday to record and chat some Star Wars with you guys. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. What about you, Charlie? How has your week been? Hopefully better than mine.
Oh my goodness, a little better, but also absolutely stressed to the walls. I feel like I haven't had a chance to stop this week. All I've done is be a big grown-up adult, and as always, like you, I look forward to these Sundays to hang out with you two Muppets and talk about one of my favorite things, Star Wars. So we're here, and I'm excited. Let's go. Jack, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad as well. Nice steady week for me, to be honest. Sounds like I've had an easier week than the pair of you. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, just echo what you guys say. It's Sunday, fun day for me as well. Talking Star Wars, and there's been so many rumors and bits and bobs coming out this week. So this one I cannot wait for. But before all that, let's dive into this week's Force Encounters.
For my ally is the Force.
Okay, so for this week's Force Encounters, then, I had a little mystery parcel turn up at the door. My wife was convinced that I'd purchased something, and I have no idea who has sent it. There is an address on there. Obviously, I'm not going to post the address out on the socials to find out who it was. So, whoever it was, thank you so much for that little gift. It is greatly appreciated. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. And also, I've got Festival of the Force coming up this weekend with Mr. Mark Newbold from Fan for Tracks. So me and him are heading out on Saturday. Can't wait for that Star Wars event. It's a new Star Wars event taking place in Newark. So excited for that. So look forward to doing a recap on this show for everyone that listens. Charlie, how's your week been for Force Encounters?
I've had a really exciting week for Force Encounters. I'm very excited to share that myself at Running Back to Jakku and also the podcast have been offered to be part of the affiliate program with the shop All Savers, who are like a group off of is it all Star Wars fans?
Yep.
They are absolutely brilliant guys. They're selling some quality lightsabers. We've both got discount codes. You can find them through our social media and through our posts about it. I'm absolutely blown away to ask to be included. This sort of thing means so much to me. I am a huge lightsaber fan. So any excuse to get more lightsabers into my little raccoon hands, I'm doing it. Jimmy, did you have any Force encounters this week?
Yes. I think like I said, I was sick a lot of this week, and on Friday, I started doing research for Japan's topic when we get to go live at Japan. And I'll just say this: I watched 13 Assassins for the second time, and I've got a few more. So I don't want to go in too much more detail, but I've started my research. So I'm excited. It got me fired up for Celebration, and yeah, just mostly that, just kind of walking, getting through the sickness.
Nice.
But
Nice.
other than that, can't think of a lot of stuff. But we have a ton of news coming out of Batu. So let's go over there and see what's happening.
The people in this crowd will soon be among almost 40,000.
For those who are among the 900 with news media or promotional tickets, this sneak preview probably will be the only chance to see The Empire Strikes Back.
All right, so to start off this week's episode, I mean, basically it's going to be news and rumors and all this good stuff, but first thing, the Untitled Rey movie, although they did call it The New Jedi Order for the first time officially, I believe, is getting its fourth writer after Damon Lindelof, Justin Britt Gibson, Stephen Knight. George Nolfi has been tasked with writing. He's known for The Bourne Ultimatum, Ocean's 12. The reporter says known for writing elevated thrillers across a variety of genres and establishing strong relationships with his actors. Are we excited? How are we feeling about this? Also, keep in mind, Nolfi and Tony Gilroy have worked together in the past. So are they potentially advising us? We got all this information from the Hollywood Reporter. I know we posted some stuff on this. How are we feeling about the fourth writer on something that's not even that old? I mean, Charlie, you're the big Ray fan. So why don't you just go ahead and dive into this?
Oh, goodness. Anytime there is a big announcement of a change of writer or a change of director over things like this, especially anything to do with Ray, I unfortunately have this very sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. It is extremely frustrating to watch it change hands again, to watch it lack consistency. This was announced back in 2022, 2023 at Star Wars Celebration. And there has just been no movement since. It's been back and forth, back and forth. And I'm frustrated. I give it a likelihood rating of about 3 out of 5 stars because I do really feel that this is going to change hands again. The last time we checked in with the press, and I think even with Daisy Ridley herself, she explicitly said that a script had been written, stuff had been written, but that one's been thrown out as well now. What on earth is going on?
Yeah, Jack, what do you think, Jack? I mean,
Yeah, it's for me echoing Skeleton Crew issues. You know, when I first said that I don't think it's going to happen, it sort of does remind me of that. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. However, yeah, I'll be sitting on the fence for this. It's frustrating, like Charlie said, and I could imagine all the Ray fans going absolutely berserk. And I've sort of got two views on this. Is one, it's either going to come to a point where they are actually taking their time, they're developing stuff properly, and it's going to come out, it's going to be amazing. Or two, they're going to come to a point where they go, you know what, we can't do anything else with Skywalkers. We're at that point in the story now.
Yeah.
What do we do? So they need to realize that maybe, and just stop with the Rey stuff, stop with the Skywalker stuff, and just move forward. So yeah, with me, likelihood rating, I'm going to go 3 out of 5. What about you, Jimmy?
now listen, when Disney wants to just come to Mike and I, because if you remember before Skeleton Crew, we were writing the Ray
We were.
trilogy, right?
We were.
And I've gone on record as saying I think Daisy Ridley got better as Ray every single movie, right?
Yep.
I really do. I think she started finding the character. She's finding her, I mean, she hadn't really been in much at that point. It's got to be intimidating. We have a script. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. We only got the first movie so far, but we kind of know what we're doing. So Disney, Mike and I will be happy to come along as long as I can bring Charlie and Jack as advisors
Yep.
for this episode. I think this does two things. One, it crushes Ray fans, right? I mean, it makes
Yeah.
Ray people who love Ray. I mean, I just imagine it's got to be frustrating every time you get a new writer. I mean, this is a movie that's supposed to come out now, and then everyone who doesn't want this is like adding fuel to their fire.
Yeah.
You can't write a good story about Ray, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that for a second. There are I mean, just look at what they did with Skeleton Crew. Look, I mean, there's some things out there that are written so well. You just got to find the right people for this, and maybe don't try to, I'm not sure what's going on behind the scenes, but like, don't try to force it. We had a listener comment. I still think 5 out of 5. I mean, it may not be him writing it, But I
Yeah,
still think this Ray thing. I mean, I
Yeah,
think that
that's
they are
valid.
sold at Ray because now I don't want to jump too far ahead in what we're talking about today, but we're going to talk about another movie that might be coming
yeah,
out, and supposedly Ray's going to be in that.
yeah,
So I still think Ray is the linchpin. I mean, she's the only character we got unless they're going to start all over.
yeah.
100 and so many years down the road, and you could have
Which I wouldn't be
Grogu.
against.
I mean, Grogu could still be around, but I mean, is that a
Yeah,
strong enough character to build to carry stuff? So I don't
mm,
know.
yeah,
I think that the Ray Way's way to go. The more time we get with her, the more we fall in love with her. As long
yeah.
as it's well written. Listener comments. Kevin Ardidar said, "One thing I'm really looking forward to is the crowd reaction when the first image of that film is revealed. I have a feeling that Disney and Lucasfilm are brewing something up, especially because The Force Awakens is celebrating a special anniversary this year. Who knows? Maybe we are
It's a
finally
great
getting
point.
more details during Star Wars Celebration."
That is a great
Uh,
point.
I just They have got to learn to handle things better. You
Yeah.
can't have Daisy
Yes.
Ridley saying that the script's written and then now we're on to a different writer. That really kind of cuts out what if she tells us anything else, are we going to believe her? Right? If Daisy Ridley
Yeah.
comes out or they come out at Celebration and they do announce something, are we like, yeah, okay, sure. We'll believe it when we
Yeah.
see
We'll
it.
just take it with a pinch of salt, and I think that's what
Yeah,
the
it's
fandom is now, isn't it? We're just taking everything what's coming out with a pinch of
Yeah.
salt.
it's pretty frustrating if I'm being
Yeah.
honest, and it's nothing to do with character. It's just the fact that they cannot figure it out. It
Yeah.
can't be. I mean, is it really that hard? I mean, I couldn't do it. I joke around about Mike and I doing it, right? But I know I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to be responsible for that. But there are lots of people out there who want to be responsible for that and probably could do an amazing job. So, anyways, I'm going to be done talking about this, but I still think it's a mess.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
All I want is to see our Jedi girl back on screen again. That is all I want. I will take, like I said in the little write up, I will take anything at this point. I absolutely believe it will arrive on screen. I couldn't possibly say when, by who, what format it's possibly going to take. There is still so much unknown. I just want more Ray. And
Yeah.
this kind of back and forth, up and down, will they, won't they? It stresses me out as a fan because I just want her character to be treated with respect and the reverence and the importance that I feel like it requires. Because if you're gonna do the Skywalkers, you do the Skywalkers. Like it, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, though, I guess. I agree, though. I mean, I think this is a great place to pivot, take Skywalkers in a new direction, take
Yeah.
Star
Mhm.
Wars in a new direction. You can do all kinds. You can do whatever you want. Just do
So
it.
down
Do
for it.
something.
Yep.
So,
So down for it.
oh,
But we'll see.
However, in some brighter news involving one of my absolute favorite characters, Star Wars Celebration dropped their list of guests for photo ops and autographs this week. We'll get into the details of that later, but specifically, I want to focus on my fave, my hero, the legend, the icon. Ahmed Best will be at Star Wars Celebration for the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. Photo ops and autographs are available through the Star Wars Celebration website. Get them while they're still available. Photo ops are roughly around kind of $108 to 87 quid, rough conversion. And the at table autograph is $115, 92 quid.
Yep.
Um, I am sure, if he's there for all 3 days, he'll be doing some interviews, some panels, some chatting, some bits and pieces. So I'm hoping we'll get a little bit more through the kind of news and rumors mill that way. Because usually when the celebrities come and they sit and they talk at these sorts of things, they talk a bit more. It feels like it comes a little
Yeah.
easier. So if you want to go and meet Jar Jar Binks at Star Wars Celebration,
or Keller and Beck.
go. Like, no.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, Caloran Beck / Jar Jar Binks. And just tell him that Charlie loves him to pieces and thinks he's brilliant. Thanks.
Okay, so just an interesting fact as well about that is, and I'm sure you remember Jimmy and Charlie, that in 2023, when Celebration was in one of the best countries in the world, UK, London, obviously as well, a lot of the guests were pretty much sold out at this point. Like within 2 to 3 days, they were sold out. And this is no disrespect to any of the guests there; they're all incredible. But for me, I find it a little bit underwhelming with the guests that have been put out there or announced is the word I'm looking for. Obviously, we've got the big hitters again, in my opinion, like the A-listers of Diego Luna and Mads Mikkelsen. Again, Diego Luna is quite expensive, autograph-wise. I think probably the most expensive. He's only appearing on the Sunday, which tells me the Andor panels are probably going to be on the Sunday as well. But yeah, in terms of the autographs, for me, quite underwhelming. Price-wise as well. Again, if you don't get a chance to see these people again, I'd highly recommend getting them. But they're quite expensive again. I know it's Reed Pop, and I know it's not the actors or whoever is involved. I mean, there are some absolute bangers that have been announced in terms of, Jug Chang was announced. The name's just escaped me now. Obviously, Ahmed Best. I've heard nothing but brilliant things about him. That's probably the only one so far I've got my eye on. But yeah, me personally, a little underwhelmed with these autographs. But again, I'm quite shocked that they've not sold out. What do you reckon, Jimmy?
Yeah, if you click on guest, and right now I'm on it on thing, there are 9 people as guests.
Yeah.
Wow.
Alan Tudyk, Anthony Daniels, Ashley, Daniel Logan, Diego Luna, Doug Chang, Mads, Manny, Tem. I do know I mean, you can go on there and look at photo ops and stuff. There's a few other people because you can meet, like, I think it's John Knoll, some
Yeah.
other people like that, which is
That's
cool. Like,
that's
I think that's
cool.
great. I think
Yeah.
that's great
Mm.
that people like. I mean, I've said it multiple times. Like, Doug Chang saved Anaheim for me because sitting in on his panel and his passion for Star Wars was just blew me away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I do think it seems a little underwhelming. And again, that's not disrespect to anyone there. Like, I want to meet all of them,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the same, like.
Aura.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this is going to be a small little con. You know what I mean? Like, this
Yeah.
isn't Star Wars Celebration. This is I don't want to say anything like that, but like
Yeah.
this
No,
doesn't have the
I
same
get what you mean.
celebration feel. I mean, after this will be my 4th one, and this one seems small. Maybe
Yeah.
I've gotten used to a certain thing. We're still a few months away, but not that far. Like, we're not
No.
that far away where
Mm.
people need to be planning. I know these stars, they plan stuff out. But yeah, I'm surprised by the list or the
Yeah.
lack
And
thereof.
yeah. And another thing is as well, we're not got to forget is Ewan McGregor's probably not going to be there because he's on London Theatre, so he's doing stuff in the theatre in London around
Yes.
that time. So it's not pretty nailed on, but it's probably not going to happen that he's going to appear. Hayden Christensen, no word from him, but it's a big anniversary for Revenge of the Sith as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm
So
fairly sure Daisy Ridley's doing she's got a lot of other films coming up over the next year or so.
yeah,
A
I'm
lot of like
expecting.
independent projects and personal projects that she's doing. So I
Yeah,
really couldn't say for some of the sequels actors.
I think John Boyega is going to be there because he was in Japan not that long ago with Jude Law and I want to say Daniel Logan. I think off the top of my head, not that long ago.
Nice.
Um, but again, you just don't know. And if John Boyega is there, yeah, I get why he's there. But then if he's there, is that when the rumors start coming out? Is he going to be in the next Skywalker film, etc.? Which I know we're going to talk about later on. But yeah, maybe we're reading too much into it. Maybe we aren't. Who
Mm.
knows? Who knows? In other news as well, Luminate was a source for Star Wars goodness or what TV views and stuff like that. Long story short, and I'm not going to say this surprised me because it didn't surprise me. I was surprised at how high it was. So there was a table that's come out, and it's Disney Plus's top 10 TV shows of 2024, and it's from December 29th, 23 to December the 31st, 2024. And The Acolyte came in at number 2. Minutes watched was like 2,673. Billions of viewers. Crazy, crazy
Wow.
figures for something that was disliked. Again, rightly and wrongly, in my opinion, across the Star
Mm.
Wars fandom. But I'm so happy it came so high. We've then got Star Wars: The Bad Batch at 6, Star Wars Skeleton Crew at 7, Ahsoka Season 1 at 8, Mandalorian Season 3 at 9, and The Mandalorian Season 1 at 10. So I'm not sure where Mandalorian Season 2's dropped off. But it would make sense to me that people have done some sort of catching up in preparation, maybe for season 3 of The Mandalorian, and also uh, the Ahsoka. But again, Ahsoka didn't appear until season 2 of The Mandalorian. But yeah, super super hyped and well happy for the Star Wars actors, people, everyone that was involved in those shows, especially the Acolyte, with how much flack they got. I feel like this is a Jedi lightsaber deflecting a blaster moment for them. What's your thoughts on this, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm shocked that it's up that high from all the negativity that we've gotten. Um, and it's also, you know, I don't, I tend to worry some, and all the negativity and all this stuff. And I'm like, are they just going to stop making Star Wars? But if you look at the top 10 of 2023 to 24, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 10 are Star Wars shows, right? You
Mm,
got one non-Marvel, non-Star Wars show in there
yeah,
with Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which was really fun, by the way. They did a great
it's
job with
great.
that.
My kids love that
Um,
one.
yeah, it was really fun. But yeah, I'm pretty excited that that's up there that high.
Yeah,
Um, I wonder. I still, I wonder about these numbers and where they get them and how it works
yeah,
and that kind of stuff. But I mean, I've watched everything on there. I would not have. I'm stunned that Mandalorian season 3 is on there, but um, yeah, I mean it's good. And Skeleton Crew had only been on air
hmm
like a month, right? So I mean, and it cracked the top 10 and only having 1 month to really do
That's
anything.
crazy.
So that's really good. So those numbers
yeah,
that everyone I think that says more about like people saying, well, it's the lowest viewed show on Disney. Well, is it? Because right here it's sitting um, in seventh and it was only around for a month. So I think you sit there and you look at how it does and word of mouth, that's going to help. And then, I don't think that it being second on Disney Plus is going to give it a second season of The Acolyte,
yeah,
um,
No.
but I'm surprised it's that high with given the backlash. But people
yeah,
tuned in,
yeah,
because it was getting so much
yeah,
backlash that we said
Yeah.
that multiple times when we were reviewing it.
yeah, yeah,
If you really don't like it and you think you're going to make change, then stop watching it. But you didn't. You kept watching. So and I think this is a little bit about the people out there spreading the hate too. But yeah, that's awesome. I think
Mhm.
it's pretty cool. Charlie, you have anything that screams out at you
I
that I may have
mean,
missed?
no, not necessarily. Like you said, I'm delighted to see that Skeleton Cruise broke the top 10 after barely being on air for a whisper of a time compared to some of these other shows.
yeah,
Acolyte is an interesting one, but in the same breath, a hate watch is a watch.
yeah,
Even if you sat there and watched the entire thing from start to finish, boiling in your seat, still gives those numbers and those views to Disney. So you watched, you participated. Thank you very much.
yeah,
I'm glad to see that people weren't put off by the kind of rhetoric and the backlash from it, and that there were obviously some people still absolutely willing to give it a go. Ahsoka and Mandalorian, of course, they're going to be there. The Mandalorian was hugely popular, and considering when season 1 was released, for it still to be in their top 10 list, that is a hell of an achievement for Disney
yeah,
Star Wars. A hell of an achievement to
yeah,
have remained in the kind of the zeitgeist of it for that long.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. And
It
just just
endures.
to
It always
just to
does.
sort of correct myself as well from earlier. So I mentioned it. The minutes was 2,673. That's not thousands. Sorry, that's millions. So it'd be two
Millions.
million 673 minutes of the acolyte that was viewed, which I find astounding. It's also got the release dates there. You can't really pinpoint a pattern. If it makes sense to bring them out late in the year, early in it doesn't really matter
No.
when it's out. So yeah,
Yeah, I think as long as it's good, it's good.
yeah,
Um, Moving away from the big screen and a television, let's turn into some comic books. And I don't know about you guys, how you read the comic books. Um, I have been diving into the Insurgency, the Battle of Jakku stuff, which ended this week. Then we got a bunch of news coming
Good.
out with comics. And so for Dark Horse is releasing Clone Force 99 stuff. Supposedly there's a book coming out as well. There is comics
hmm
coming out. Um, this first issue is coming out February 12th. We'll see them on a mission to Vicar, it looks like, search of some separatist weapons. Issue number 4, Ventress.
Yep.
So that will be interesting if maybe we're getting more why she was in Bad Batch season 3 in the first place. Before that all got shut down. So that's pretty exciting to get more of them. I wonder the time frame for this. Is this clone? Well, I guess it's separatist right there.
Yeah.
So this is during the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
apparently. But then also sticking with comics, Legacy of Vader comics. There's one or two coming out, and there's a whole breakdown of Kylo Ren chasing after a survivor of Order 66. So everyone's speculating. Well, at first everyone was speculating that he was going to be chasing a bunch, and Charles Soule came out on Twitter or X and said, no, there's one specific Jedi that will show up. It goes back to going back to Tatooine in in this I think first or second episode comic. So it will be interesting to see what this does. I like the comics. I have stacks and stacks that I haven't read yet because sometimes nothing happens in them and it's a little frustrating. Charlie, do you read the
I
comics
do.
much? Okay.
I do. I wasn't particularly much of a comic book fan until I met my partner Nick, who is a massive, massive reader of comic books, has been since he was a small child. And he has an app on his tablet where you can read all of like the Marvel and Star Wars comics. And
Yeah.
I've actually found that's a way I can burn through them. I think I read the entire like first Vader run in about half a day. I just absolutely bashed through them, and now I'm so obsessed. Really, really excited about this like Legacy of Vader, Kylo Ren, post Last Jedi. That also seems super exciting. Give me more. I like it when the comics fill the gaps in. That makes me
Yeah.
really happy. I find that really satisfying.
I do like that there's always little Easter eggs and stuff in there. I feel like they don't do a
Hmm.
ton of story pushing it forward. And of course, we know that they will retcon things when they need to. So I do enjoy the stories. That's a bit of easy reading sometimes when you need that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited for more Clone Force 99. More Bad Batch is going to be cool. This whole thing with Kylo Ren will be good. Um, so we'll see. All right. Jack, do you read or invest in a lot of the comics as well? I mean,
Yeah, so I've got the odd like couple here and there. I've not invested as much as I'd like to, just just because of the time and stuff like that. But I have been tracking a lot of the new releases, and they do seem to be like coming across. There's a lot of time and effort actually going into it. And it's coming across that it's actually worthwhile. Where I think back in the day, comics to me were more of a filler for stories or just like a little bit of a sideline. But I think like the High Republic stuff has quashed that because a lot of it's tied into the main novels, which is genius. And I think with the comics now sort of tying up the links between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens and so on, I think
well, yeah,
that's all.
the newest Marvel run, which they just finished a couple months ago,
Yeah,
with our main legacy characters, that's going to jump into the New Republic era. So that's starting. You got Jedi Knights is coming out. You've got some
can't wait for
stuff
that.
with
I love
the High Republic stuff is coming out. I think
Yeah.
Jedi Knights is going to focus on Qui Gon at first, but it's going to be like
Hmm.
Phantom Menace time period or prior to
Yeah.
Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
which they're kind of really exploring that area quite a bit lately.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of things that are coming out that are tied in. If you haven't gotten into comic books, your best bet might be to do the app, but
it.
you cannot get Dark Horse comics on that. They don't do like
No.
a digital version. That's the only
No.
thing. And Dark Horse does some fun things. I
Yeah.
don't know, some really good stuff in the High Republic. Personally, I
Yeah.
think one of my favorites. But yeah, I mean, comics is a good time. Right now I was just thinking about. It's kind of like a lull in the High Republic reading and stuff like that. So it's usually when I'll dive into and try to catch up on certain storylines and things like that. Um,
Yeah.
but I
Have you
think
have you
that.
noticed?
Oh, go
Have you
ahead. Sorry.
noticed as well though in issue 4 where we're seeing Ventress with Clone Force 99, she has no hair.
Well, that's the thing too. Because you're looking at Clone Force 99, not the Bad Batch, and it talks
Correct.
about
Mm.
separatists. So is this
Yep.
going to be happening during the Clone Wars? Right. So, but
Has to
that
be.
would also would did they know her
And that was going to
in
be my point.
in I'm
in the
trying
Bad
to think
Batch.
back to Bad Batch season 3, and I feel like they didn't know who she was necessarily.
Yeah. Or
So
if they did, I'd have to go and watch it again to be totally honest. But it's a great point because we've got to be careful now because we could have another, Kaidi Mundi birthday issue.
yeah, and I was saying too, like they retcon kind of like what happened to Caleb Doom, and from the comics to when they did Bad Batch season 1 opener. Um, I
Yeah.
don't mind it. It's just like, well, then what's the point? You know what I mean? Like you're kind of taken away from some of that stuff. So I do think they need to tread carefully, and maybe plan this stuff out. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm,
definitely. But
maybe.
like like you said, Dark Horse comics, so I absolutely love them. I picked up a few at Celebration. It had a Sav, the young
Sab
Padawan
Megalon, yeah,
turned pirate, and like I don't know what it is with female Jedi's and purple lightsabers because I'm a fan of Ty Yorick as well. Um, but yeah, I really like Dark Horse comics. So yeah, if and when I get back into my comics, I'll definitely be picking up some of these.
awesome, 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 awesome. But that really is it for this week's news. Well, kind of.
Okay, so we're going to dive into the main show. And as always, we've asked all our listeners for their comments, feelings, and opinions. So throughout this segment, listen out for your name because we have included you in this week's conversation. And starting us off is one of our favorite listeners. It's Darren Briscoe. And we're going to be talking about rumors, news, everything Star Wars that's come out this past week or so. So Dan Briscoe, he said there are so many rumors about the new Star Wars film. I've become a little immune to them. I know this isn't a Lucas film / Disney reveal, but even their films coming soon list has no weight as nothing has come to fruition. Just bring me a Star Wars film to my multiplex and I'll be there day one, midnight showing every time. It sort of ties into what we were saying earlier in the news, all these reveals and that, they're not really, like Darren said, there's no fruition. They're not happening. There's no weight behind them anymore because people are like, yeah, sound. If it happens, it
Well,
happens.
if one of the things that we're going to talk about later, not even the one we're talking about now, but you had all these movies announced at Celebration London, and none of them have happened, and you're going to have 2 movies that come out that weren't
Yeah.
planned jump into being in the theater before that. That's disappointing. And again, like we said, like just figure it out, Disney. Like you really do. Like I'm not trying to be a jerk. I know it's not that easy, but figure it out.
Yeah.
Just figure it out, please.
Which I think might be the long-standing comment for the rest of this. However, going to start
Mhm.
off with one of my favourite rumours for sure. So, rumour mill. First one up is Natalie Portman returning to Star Wars. Now, Courtney Appleton, another listener, has said the only way she sees Padme coming back is as some sort of Force essence ghost. Not a ghost in the sense of the Jedi or as a memory, but I'm glad she's open to coming back. So, the details of this then are Natalie Portman may be reprising her role as Padme Amidala in the upcoming Ahsoka Season 2. All off states referring to Portman, what I'm hearing is that she's open to it. Dave Filoni is apparently really trying hard to bring Portman back, and she'll be allegedly returning in flashback scenes with co-stars Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, and Ariana Green Black. When asked last year in an interview, Portman said she hasn't been spoken to by anyone. Loads of speculation. Rumors I've also heard this week. It could be Kenobi season 2 as well. And a bit of controversy is according to Jeff Schneider, Portman seen films for Kenobi series LA May to September 2021 between filming Thor, Love and Thunder. That's when they reckon it could have been done. But these were cut from the final version and she won't be in Ahsoka season 2. However, this is heavily debated, which we're going to go into anyway. And there was only a month between 2 projects, COVID restrictions, an entire globe in terms of location, as far as we're aware. All the extras from Kenobi have been leaked. This is potentially not true. The source for this sort of stuff was Christian Harloff, and we've got our likelihood rating, which we will come on to shortly. So there's loads of points there jumping out. We'll sort of go back to the start then. Natalie Portman returning to Star Wars. Is she going to be in Ahsoka Season 2, or is there another plan behind it? What do we think, Charlie? I'll start with you. Is Natalie Portman coming back?
Would make sense. If we're being practical and pragmatic about it, it would make sense for her to return. We've seen Hayden Christensen reprise his role as Anakin. We've seen Ewan McGregor return as Obi-Wan Kenobi. We've had young Ahsoka. Flashbacks have been set up as a pretty common tool in the current Star Wars TV projects. We've had that in everything from Kenobi, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka. Great storytelling device. Really nice way to get some of the old actors back into their roles. But I'm inclined to take it all with a pinch of salt because both Christian Harloff and Jeff Snyder, whilst they have had many successful predictions and many successful insider and insights, they've
Yeah.
made many a mistake, and a broken clock is right twice a day. I think it's interesting that as we've had we'll get into it in a little bit, as we've had the news that both Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor might be reprising their roles. Of course, you'd want to throw Natalie Portman in the mix because how could you have Anakin without Padme? And
Yeah.
obviously, Padme and Ahsoka's relationship in the Clone Wars is something that's very well established. Important. Likelihood it's going to happen? Oh, I think I'd have to go with a 3.5. Three and a
Three
half
and a half.
stars. I do.
Okay.
I do sort of lean more towards this will happen rather than not. Jimmy, how do you feel?
I'm giving it zero chance of happening personally. I think this
Oh.
is insane. I would love Natalie Portman to come back. Like, I mean, yes. I mean, who doesn't want to see Natalie Portman on the screen, right? I mean, Padme, one of the stronger, better characters. Be nice for her to get to, all the controversy that surrounded her and George Lucas during the prequels. Be nice for her to get back in there and be able to do her thing. She's well established now. Um,
Mhm.
I don't think there's any chance this happens. I mean, what is Ahsoka season 2 going to be? Just flashbacks of Clone Wars? I mean, is that all that's going to happen? You bring him
Mm,
back. I mean, we're going to get
Yeah.
like, you know, I would if they're going to bring it back, I'd like just bring them all back for a Clone Wars TV show. That would make more
but
sense than,
yeah.
you know what I mean? But I would love to see her. I don't think it's going to happen. Um, I don't think this is true at all, personally. Um, but yeah, I give it a
Mm,
0 chance of
zero.
happening. So
Interesting. Interesting. I think the only way this is
Okay.
going to happen for the Ahsoka stuff is War Between Worlds. That's the only way I can see them doing some sort of
Yeah.
flashback. The Kenobi season
It's
2
gonna
to
have
me
to
makes
be.
more sense because, again, they don't have to have the ghost or the War Between Worlds. I could sort of see it being a flashback if he was talking to a young Leia, maybe. Um, for me, likelihood wise, I'm going to go for a 2 out of 5. It does
I
seem quite unlikely, in my opinion. Go on, Jimmy.
just seems like a bit of a stretch, like her character
Mm,
being in
Yeah.
any of these. Like, it's not necessary. What are you going to have to pay her? And
yeah,
I don't know. I, I just, I don't. I get it. I get the idea. I get the rumors. Like that would make
yeah.
sense. Like you guys said, like if you bring all these people back, you could have that whole, that foursome back. You could have Anakin, Kenobi,
Mm,
Ahsoka,
yeah,
Padme. Like that would be cool.
that'd be
But
ace.
I think that you need to do a whole show
Yeah,
just them on some adventure or something. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't see
Mhm.
this happening at all. Sorry, guys and girls and and Ewoks.
Cool.
Sad
Let's move on to
times.
the next rumor. What we got?
All right. Oh, dreamy rumor. Even though it's spelled wrong on here, you Brits and your English. Ryan Gosling to star in untitled Sean Levy project. Details: three-time Oscar-nominated and star of the Barbie movie, Ryan Gosling is set to star in a still untitled Star Wars film directed by Sean Levy. Sources state the development is late in the game for the film's schedule. This is a rare example of A-lister joining the Star Wars cast. What do we think? Our source is The Hollywood Reporter. Once again, is Gosling going to be Ken Obi for Star Wars? And like, what character does he play? I mean, he's just recently. I think he'd be an excellent
Mm.
scoundrel, Harrison Ford type character. Like you look at him from
Yes.
what's
Blade
the
Runner.
movie? They just redid Fall Guy, right? Like you could see him being a
Mhm.
scruffy looking nerf herder.
He
You
he he,
know,
d- he was the guy in Blade Runner as well, wasn't he?
yeah, 2049. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he has it. I mean, he's a great actor. He's funny. He can do all this. Um, Likelihood, I would say 3 out of 5. I think that
Oh.
I I don't. It's so hard to know anything with Star Wars these days, given the
Hmm.
fact that um, like we said, and I don't want this to turn into a bashing Star Wars.
Yeah.
But they have made things complicated for fans
Hmm.
and believing in them. We tell the story of Crying Wolf, but he has done Deadpool and Wolverine, The Atom
Mhm.
Project, Free Guy, Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian, I think, or Secrets. No, I can't read the other one. The Internship, Real Steel, Date Night. I mean, Sean Levy has a plethora of movies under his belt, and he's worked a lot with like Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Gosling is kind of the same. Like, got that same. I think he has
Hmm.
more range than Ryan Reynolds, right? Ryan Reynolds just plays himself and everything. I think Gosling actually has some like acting chops where he could be different. I would
Yeah.
love to see it. I just don't know if it's going to happen. So what about you guys?
Hmm.
I was a huge, huge fan of the Barbie movie. I think Ryan Gosling's performance in it was what sold me onto the movie. It wasn't
Love
it
it.
wasn't what I was expecting to sell me, but it was absolutely brilliant. I think it's an interesting choice for Star Wars, but obviously, the Hollywood Reporter, very reputable source, so I'm absolutely
Yeah.
inclined to think this will be happening. Whether the Sean Levy film will make it onto a screen that I can go and sit in front of and watch, that's another question entirely. But my wild theory is, right, go with me here, guys. What if they're getting Ryan Gosling to voice Grogu? If we're doing any kind of age up timeline shift, what if I don't know, why not?
I mean, Bradley Cooper voices Rocket the Raccoon, so
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't
That's a
know.
good theory. I like that. I like that. I think with this, like Ryan Gosling, like Jude Law, my twin, he's another A-lister. Jude Law carried it off perfectly, I thought, in Skeleton Crew.
Hmm.
Like, didn't really steal the show. He had more than enough potential to do so. I want to say, and again, the most respectful way is sort of he knew his role and he stayed within his role rather than trying to steal
Yes.
the show. He knew that the show wasn't about him. Ryan Gosling potentially could do the sort of same thing. I have no doubt. He's a super talented actor. Again, big fan of the Barbie movie. Um, but what we've got to sort of get back to, in my opinion, again, is having these Star Wars films and not using A-list actors or like top well-known actors. Like back in the day, your Harrison
Yes.
Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, they weren't the major stars that they are today. Really, you only had Alec Guinness and Peter Cushing, but they were like classically trained actors, so they were like royalty
Hmm.
anyway. And again, they didn't steal the show really. Let's be honest. Everyone was focused on Luke Skywalker or Leia or Han. Again, that's what made the movie such a success. Now you can sort of argue fast forward a little bit. Ewan McGregor, yes, okay, sort of an A-list actor or up and coming actor at least for the Phantom Menace. I'd probably argue that point. The only other really A-list actor that we've had then on forward, well, obviously you've got Ian McDermott to a degree, but he's built that up through the OTs. Mace Windu, Samuel L. Jackson, but again, didn't steal the show. Didn't have to. He knew his role, stayed within his role,
No.
which I think George Lucas made sure of. Then you look at the prequels. Now you've got Daisy Ridley. No one really heard of her prior, I'd argue. John Boyega, I'd say again, sort of that Ewan McGregor was up and coming. He'd been in quite a few
Yeah.
stuff. But then you got Oscar Isaac, who is A-lister again, in my opinion. Like, so straight away, you got three sort of main actors there. Yes, you've still got people coming in. You got Adam Driver as well. Again, no one really heard of Adam Driver, if I'm totally honest. But again, I know he was an upcoming actor in America. Um, so yeah, for me, I don't think they don't need an A-lister at all. They don't. I
No.
think that's just it's either Ryan Gosling wanting to be part of the Star Wars universe because he wants to do it,
I can see
or
that.
Hmm.
it's just like a safe bet, if you like. They've looked at Jude Law recently and gone, well, he knocked it out of the park. Let's look at someone else now, because it's gone wrong in the past where they've brought people in. The Mandalorian is a prime example with Jack Black, and
Hmm.
I can't even remember her name. The
So,
Lizzo.
so
Lizzo, yeah, like crazy. absolutely crazy. But yeah, likelihood of this happening for me though, I'm going to go for a 4 out of 5 on this
Hmm.
because I don't
Fair.
think these sort of rumors just come out of nothing.
No.
Not like a big
Well,
name.
moving us away from the Mojo Dojo Death Star, we are moving into another rumor involving, surprise, surprise, Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, and Ariana Greenblatt are slated to return in Ahsoka season 2. This was reported by, again, Christian Harloff. The details, kind of vague. It was another one of his sort of announcements on the podcast that he does, which I think is a daily product he puts out.
Mm,
There seems to be a wave of rumors around Ahsoka season 2. Lots and lots of different familiar faces slated to come back. Harloff reports in his podcast that Anakin, Obi-Wan, and young Ahsoka will be seen again on screen. We saw them in season 1. Feels like it makes sense to have them back in season 2. I feel like those,
yeah,
particularly those live-action versions of those interactions, are really essential for storytelling. Flashbacks have always worked in Star Wars. They probably always will work in Star Wars. We love them. We love to see it, especially when they're done well. Even though I have my doubts about the source, I think my likelihood rating is probably a solid 4 out of 5 stars. I think this is definitely going to happen. How do you guys feel?
go on, Jimmy.
Uh, well, first of all, I want to give people, if you don't know who Christian Harloff is, you're not just some rando. This guy's been around Star Wars and
Mhm.
around Hollywood for a very long time. He was the original like Collider crew. They did some other things. Um, I can remember him on Collider saying that they were going to bring Palpatine back. That was the only thing that made sense. And then, it was like the only person, everyone was bashing him for it. Not that it
Mhm.
was a great choice, but he was right. And I remember getting to be like, hey, you nailed it. And he's like, yep. I think we were at Chicago. But he's been around for a long time. He's super good friends with like Katie Sackhoff and a lot of these people. Like he's got connections.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much he knows. But this one, I feel like this is a no brainer. Like,
Mm,
why wouldn't
Yeah,
you?
it feels
I
like
mean,
it
that was
makes logical sense.
yeah, this one I'll say 5 out of 5 on this one, just given the fact that why wouldn't you? People love seeing that, and then you're going to throw
yeah.
Kenobi into it. Um, good lord, and I still think I know we mentioned this when the first time the rumor came out, and I said, can you imagine if this is like a segue to like a Clone Wars live action? And maybe Natalie Portman does come back. Who knows? But yeah, I would say 5 out of 5. If they're doing Ahsoka season 2, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with Jimmy on that as well. I think it's definitely happening. Absolutely. Why not? World Between Worlds again. It has to. Um,
I mean, it can just be memories, flashbacks, whatever. I mean,
yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
But I
I
mean, there's
think.
a lot that's going to happen in that season.
Yeah.
Abeloth and all this other stuff that are rumored, the father, the daughter, and the son.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's going to be huge. So yeah, more than happy with that. I think same as you, Jimmy. 5 out of 5. The next
Nice.
rumor as well is Sigourney Weaver in
Mm.
talks to join Mando and the Grogu movie. Details: Weaver is in talks with Disney to join the cast of The Mandalorian and Grogu. There's no details on a potential character or role for the iconic alien actor. This is the first Star Wars movie to go in production since the rise of Skywalker in 2019. The source is the Hollywood Reporter. Now, on this, I've done a little bit of research slash digging. From this point forward, there's going to be quite a few spoilers alerts for these projects that are coming out. So if you don't want to know absolutely anything about these films, turn off and fast forward about 10-15 minutes from now. However, you have been warned. So I've done some research with this. I know it's happening with everything I've read on the internet. I'm glad it's happening. I think she's an extremely talented actress. Can't wait. And the character that I've seen her potentially or heard or seen her playing is a High Republic character who
Mm.
hires the Mandalorian and Grogu to go and after the villain again that's been rumored slash leaked all over the internet. So for me, the likelihood of this 5 out of 5. What about you, Jimmy?
yeah, I don't think you throw Sigourney Weaver would be a random name to pick out of the middle of
Mm.
nowhere for this. I've also heard the rumors about her playing a New Republic high up, like general or something like that, and she's going to. I know they talked some shows we watch and listen to. They were talking about how it doesn't make sense, but I mean, she can be in it for 5 minutes and send the Mando on his mission, and bam,
Yep.
that's how things get started. Or like you start a mission and things go sideways.
Yeah,
I don't think she's going to be like a main character or anything like that, but
No.
I mean, I think that she is well established enough Yeah, I'd love to see her in it. I
Yeah,
mean, she's an excellent. I
yeah,
mean, I'm trying to think of how old she must be at this point, but I mean, if you think about what she did in the Alien movies, yeah, do I want to see that in Star Wars?
yeah,
Absolutely. I see someone
Hell
with her
yeah.
acting chops and her ability to, we know she does sci-fi awesome.
yeah,
So yeah, I will say 5 out of 5 as well because I believe this is happening. I believe she's playing, a general or some kind of high-ranking official in the
mm,
New Republic.
yeah, yeah. What
What about
about you,
you,
Charlie?
Charlie?
I would have to agree with both of you. She gives me the same energy as the actress who plays Mon Mothma, that kind of that
Yes.
grace and that delicateness, but also that presence and kind of potentially that threat of I could do some real damage. Love all of that. Definitely can carry that energy. I feel like that would fit beautifully into Star Wars, especially with what they're kind of suggesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 5 out of 5. I don't care
Nice.
if she's in it for 5 minutes or 5 episodes. I'll take it. I'm a huge Sigourney Weaver fan. Huge.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Sort of sticking with the theme as well. Another listener, Mark Rolfe, who designed our music for our amazing podcast, did an amazing job. He said, I know some will disagree as we need to keep the future of Star Wars the future, not the past. But he loves seeing old characters revised, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Luke, etc. However, he says, I still feel there's lots of stories to tell. One thing I would like is an OG bounty hunter movie or film. Imagine the stories you could tell about Dengar, Bosk, IG-88.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that would be fun. So, moving into the next bit of news or rumors, I guess.
Yep.
James Mangold provides some insight into his Star Wars film. We got the details. During a recent interview with MovieWeb, Mangold revealed some more details about the mysterious film, only known as Dawn of the Jedi. The Star Wars movie would be taking place 25,000 years before any known Star Wars movies take place. It's in an area and a playground that I've always wanted to explore and that was inspired by as a teenager. I'm not that interested in being handcuffed by so much lore at this point that it's almost immovable and you can't please anybody. Potentially controversial statements from the new director of Star Wars. Um, the scooper at my time to shine stated that the current plan is for shooting to begin in December with script aiming to be finished by the summer alongside casting. Sources, the movie web, and we got likelihood rating. Um, yeah, I mean, I still think this is happening. I don't think that those statements are controversial. Why would you? Like, you can do whatever you want. I think the
Mm.
pressure is you're starting the Jedi and the Sith. Like, that's enough pressure. You don't need to worry about,
Yeah, it's huge.
um, you don't need to worry about having a Skywalker or when someone's birthday is. Like, you can you just need to get that right. I mean,
Yeah,
you're setting the tone and you're establishing something. Yeah, you have a big enough job ahead of you.
yeah.
Um, imaginative. I know his movie that he just finished with Timothy Chalamet about Bob Dylan is doing very very well. So we don't have to worry
Mhm.
about Disney pulling the plug because you know how they get antsy whenever a movie goes bad and they yank
Yes.
things. Rogue Squadron, anyone? But I likelihood of this happening, I'm going to say 4.5 out of 5. I just worry about the script that's going to do this right.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
seems like a monumental task to me. Like
Mhm.
I'm sweating right now thinking about like, all right, well, what's he gonna do?
It's huge.
What's this gonna do to the fandom?
Yeah,
There is no, from what I understand, I mean, there is no lore. There's no even in canon or in extended universe and legends. I don't know how far back those histories go. So he's going to be starting something and I hope he nails it
yeah,
because if he doesn't, OMG, I'm not sure that the fandom will be able to handle it. So, what about you, Charlie? What do you think?
Well, in the words of the eponymous High School Musical, it's the start of something new. And I'm quite terrified. That's a hell of a lot of gap for him to fill. It really, really is to jump that far back. Like, love that he's enthusiastic, love that he's ready to tackle the fan base head on and be like, I'm not here to please everybody. I'm not here to eat through all of your lore and pick up all of your pieces. I love that energy. And obviously, James Mangold has some fantastic chops behind him. He's got a really, really interesting career of filmmaking. This Bob Dylan film looks brilliant. I've likelihood that it's going to happen, the movie as a whole. Um, Unfortunately, I'm more inclined to say sort of maybe about 3 out of 5 stars.
Mhm.
He can say what he wants to say about the film, but I think this is the same way I feel about Star Wars video games. I'm not going to be invested until you've given me at least a teaser trailer, at
Mm,
least a TV spot.
yeah,
Give me actual filmed footage that people can look at with their eyes. Otherwise, it's conjecture.
yeah, yeah. Great shouts, Charlie. I'm gonna go for a 3 out of 5, potentially 2 out of 5. Reasons being, I love the fact he's like, I'm doing it. I know there's a controversy. I can't please everyone. I don't care, but I'm going for it. Kudos, big kudos. You know, happy days. He mentions as well that this movie is going to start 25,000 years before any known Star Wars movies, and that ties in wonderfully with the old Republic stuff. So your Revan, your Malik, that sort of era to a degree as well. So again, he has got a little bit stuff to go off, but again, you've got to be super careful with this stuff because it's already out there.
Mhm.
Um, and
Wow.
I think my biggest concern is if you're starting the whole Jedi and Sith stuff, you've got to be careful of George Lucas's legacy and everything he's built that's in front of this. You know, so that is for me shark infested waters. If I'm honest, the only
Mhm.
bit of that whole thing that we spoke about that I find very unlikely, which is why I go back down to 2.5, 2 out of 5 likelihood, is I can't see how it's going to be shooting in December. And the way that the Ray film's gone with the script by the summer, not a chance.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at with that. So yeah,
Man, yeah, this has so much potential to be amazing. He called it his, Ten Commandments film,
yeah,
the beginning, like, this is going to establish everything
Yeah.
about the religion of the Jedi and the Sith possibly, and
yeah.
how I have ideas running in my head that I would never wanna say out loud because, the ridicule of the fan base, but, um, I think it's more down to who is writing it with him, and I know there was a name tagged with it. I cannot remember who that name is at the top of my at this minute, so I do apologize for that. But whew, I hope you bring in some people. I know that like Filoni and those guys need to be involved. I know that the story group needs to be involved. They need to go back and they need to research the stuff that's in. Um, and I think a lot of that too will like Ahsoka season 2, like that's going to go back to Abeloth. I mean
Mm,
that how does that tie? You know what I mean? So I think this is crazy. I hope it happens. It'd be nuts,
yeah. I
but it'll
hope it
be
happens.
curious too. Because like, what do you do with like planetary travel? Because you look at the High Republic and they're just mapping out the lanes, right? They're just
Yeah,
now
Mhm.
mapping out, star charts and things like that, and they're expanding the galaxy, and that's only 300, 400 years before the Phantom Menace. So 25,000 years ago, you're looking at like one planet probably, some kind of
yeah,
like limited uh
Mhm.
primitive species, things like that, I
yeah,
guess. I don't
yeah.
know. We'll see. It'll be interesting because like what do you do? Like, I mean, there's so but you also have like stuff from um Survivor. What are those creatures? The Zepho? I mean, you have
Yeah,
all these things that
Yes.
I
there's,
mean could be a lot of fun. You guys are right though. You're walking through a minefield.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So
I think it's David Gower that you were talking about that
yeah,
was
okay.
helping out.
All right. So yeah, I mean, as long as you got a crew, I mean, I feel like that's not something one writer tackles. I feel like this is something you need a committee for. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
here's the idea. And why not get some of these writers like Charles Soule and Cavan Scott and some of these people that have written
totally
so
agree.
beautifully.
They've done it
Let
before.
God, they
They
started the High
crush it.
Republic from scratch and they don't have one character
Yeah,
that really crossed over in any of the
yeah,
books being Yoda, and they never hardly ever use him. It wasn't like he's a crutch where they fall back on all the time.
yeah,
Like they
No.
established it beautifully, and then they bring
yeah,
these characters in that we know are there. So I think sometimes maybe they need to like they talk to some of these people, Tessa Grat and some of them, that group, get that
Yeah.
crew together and have them brainstorm how it all looks, like they did for
all
Bring
Project
right.
back the
Opal.
collaborative, like, writing process. Bring that
It
back. Put
works.
more than one writer in a room for a project. Bring
It
multiple
works.
people together. I feel like that's the way I feel like Star Wars can really blossom.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. We do have Stuart Logan, who said, "Lose the Ray trilogy. Don't fight him, Charlie. Act okay at acting, but seriously, she's going to revive the Jedi Order. Rumors that she trains Finn to become a Jedi he was meant to be. Jedi Order in the future is over. Concentrate on the High Republic and the Nihil, or do backstory about Darth Revan, Darth Sidious. Try different ideas. Those aren't really different ideas. Skeleton Crew is good. Acolyte could and should have been better. Too much jumping around in flashbacks spoilt the potentially great series. I do think there were some writing issues on that. Albert Ricci Carbon said, I would love to see more Ray, but I'm not sure enough people want to see the sequel characters again. I certainly hope it will happen, but I'm not even allowing myself to keep my hopes up. So kind of like the rest of us, like, bleh. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know. Those are, I mean, very two different, very differing takes. I mean, I'm all for.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't just make the High Republic, and I mean,
Yeah, do it.
given the books that have come out for Phase 3, they've gotten better and better and better, and
Yeah.
everyone that comes out is my new favorite. Right? I mean, you could do so
You
much
tell
with
him,
this.
Jimmy.
Oh, they're
Get
wasting
'em.
their time. Like they have all this. You have it right there in front of you.
Yeah, 100% right. 100% right.
All right, sorry, Charlie. You're up, Charlie.
Get us back on track, Charlie.
Back on track. Well, actually, I'm sorry. My gloves are coming off now because we're talking about Bespin Bulletin. And anybody who knows me and my love of Star Wars journalism knows that me and BB have a little bit of beef. So, Bespin Bulletin have been indulging in the discussions around Jeremy Allen White's casting as Rota the Hutt in the Mando and Grogu movie. Yes.
Mm.
However, Bespin Bulletin have expanded upon these rumours by stating that not only will the character be played by Jeremy Allen White, but he will also be buff and speak basic. Now, this kind of coincided with a bit of a trend online when this news broke of using a specific comic panel from, I believe, a Dark Horse Comics, where there is a particularly shredded looking Hutt family member. And I feel like BB, we've maybe taken the joke a little bit far because that might happen, but also that is absolutely ridiculous. What are you doing? And their sources for this information happens to be one of their previous articles, which talks about a load of other spoilers to do with the Mando and Grogu movies. So I take all of this with a big, 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 big pinch of salt. If it is true, I'm going to cry because it's going to be so unbelievably funny. I won't be able to take the show seriously. If it's not true, this is classic Star Wars clickbaiting, and I'm really here
Yeah.
for it.
Love it. Go on, Jimmy.
Okay, so this is the only thing that comes to my mind, and I meant to look it up, but in the War of the Bounty Hunters, Boba Fett goes, is it Nar
Love that.
Shaddaa? Is it Nar Shaddaa?
Yep.
Is that the right planet? And he gets tangled up with a ripped up hut. I don't know if that's supposed to be Rhoda or not, but this is during the War of the Bounty Hunters, so it's not that old of a series. I mean, that's what 1 or 2 years old, and he is he runs like a gladiator ring. You know, there's rumors that Rhoda is going to be a gladiator in this and stuff. I mean, there was some stuff that I think people were getting a little out of whack, being silly about some of this stuff. But um, yeah, I don't know. They would be different. I mean, I don't. That's a really big actor. I'll say 2 out of 5 stars
Yeah.
because I do think the precedent is there as far as like the War of the Bounty Hunters stuff has started. I
Mhm.
mean,
Yep.
I don't know. I would need to dive
I
into
love
those
I love
comics
those comics.
and but speaking basic, I feel like basic is beneath a hut. You know what I mean? Like the huts, but
Yeah.
I mean they had Slero do it or Zero, not Slero. Sorry, Zero the hut, and he sounded
Yeah.
kind of. I mean, a little crazy, I guess. Um, but yeah, I
I
don't
want
know.
it.
I don't know. I don't know if I want this or not. I mean, I
Yeah.
also the huts until Skeleton Crew. Like I thought the huts in Boba Fett looked like trash. Like I did. I hated it. The twins. I was like,
Correct.
this is not good. Now the hut in the mud in Skeleton Crew looked like a hut. You know, they did a better job there, I thought. But So yeah, I don't know if I want this or not. Likelihood, I'm going to say 2.5, just because Jeremy Allen White is a huge actor right now. He's super popular,
Yeah,
and you know, so. But do I want
yeah.
it? I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? For
But
me,
you
I'm going to
love
go
it.
for a 4.5. I think this is happening. I sort of like you as well, Jimmy. I'm not particularly a fan of speaking basic for Huts. Like you, I
Mm-mm.
think it is beneath him. I love me a Crime Lord. I love me a Hut as well. The whole buff row of the Hut though is going to be a bit weird. I think that seeing a buff Hut. It was strange enough in War of the Bounty Hunters, but yeah, who knows on that. The next cheeky little rumor that we've got is there's two new animated series titled Tales of the Clones and Tales of the Bounty Hunters, apparently in production. Details for that then. Daniel Rickman revealed in a Patreon post that Disney slash Lucasfilm are working on two new animated series. We've seen some further discussion online about titles as mentioned above. The source, like we mentioned, is Daniel Rickman, Daniel RPK. And just on that, Stuart Logan said Clone Wars returning as two series of backstory from the Bad Batch, what happened to Rex and the other troopers. So I think he'd be down for some of that. I'd so be down for some more animation, 110%. Tales of the Clones, yeah, why not do some Rex and Wolf? Just like the Tales of the Empire, you got your two characters.
Hmm.
Tales of the Bounty Hunters, who would we touch on? It'd have to be my favourite bounty hunter, Bosk, the second one. You could do Dengar, but there's plenty of others out there as well. Um, you could do Embo for certain reasons that we're going to discuss as well later on. For me, though, the likelihood of this is the first I've even heard about it, if I'm honest. I'm going to put that down there as a 1 out of 5 for me. There's not that much details. It might be quite new coming out.
Mm.
Regardless, even though I give it a 1 out of 5, I would love for this to happen. What about you, Jimmy?
Tales of the Clone and Tales of the Bounty Hunters. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there's still stuff. We reported on this last March,
Mm-hmm.
and with the Asajj Ventress stuff. So does she fit into the Bounty Hunters
Good shout.
stuff? That kind of all. She went dark on us. I was kind of surprised she was saying what she was saying
Yeah.
at the where I met her. I can't think of the actress's name off the top of my head right now. But I Tales of the Clones. I mean, I guess you could fill in some holes, like you said, because
Yeah.
at the end of Bad Batch, we're like, what happened to Handsome Hauser, and some of these other clones, Gregor and all those guys. Like, there are a lot of questions, so that would be all right, I think. Tales of the Bounty Hunters, sure. I don't know. I'll say 3 out of 5 that it happens. I don't know if we need it or what. I don't know. It's just another thing with Star Wars not telling us what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
What do you think, Charlie?
So I would say this is out of all of the rumors that I researched today, this is the one that had the least amount of details. Obviously, I can't access the Patreon post where this is leaked. From what I can gather, Daniel Rickman is another kind of insider, somebody with connections in the industry who gets these kind of trickles of insider information. So take it as you will. I I don't know. As heartbreaking as this is to say, I feel like all we've done is just bash Star Wars with this episode. Not my intention. I don't rate the animated series as highly as I rate the live action series. That's just a personal preference. It's not that I think they're bad. It's not that I think
Yeah.
that they're terrible or anything. It's just not my preference personally. So I don't. I'm done with the clones, and I'm done with the. Can we move on a little bit? Maybe does that sound bad?
No, no, no.
Mm,
Everyone's got their opinion, so
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I appreciate that.
Awesome. And then the last thing is more of a spoiler than a rumor. So again, big spoiler warning for anyone that doesn't want to know this before we wrap up. Big spoiler warning. So, not any further delay. So a certain fan favorite character slash actor has been spotted on the set of the Mandalorian and Grogu film. The details of grainy set photos can be often misleading, but from what we've seen, these seem pretty legit. Look at them at your own peril, explorers. I haven't seen these photos, so I'm going to chase these up straight away after this. So apparently, on-set photos leaked are what? Who is it?
No. Ooh, ooh, again, massive, big spoiler warnings. If people don't want to listen to this, you need to fast forward right now before I start yapping about it. Known other than Cameron Monaghan, Cal Kestis has been spotted on set for Mandalorian and Grogu. There are some grainy pictures of that ginger hair
Can't
knocking
hide it.
about on the Star Wars Leaks subreddit and a couple of other places in classic Cal gear. So I think we all knew he was coming. We all knew he was going to appear at some point, obviously, with the whole
Yeah,
Star Wars celebration thing.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't necessarily expect it was going to be this,
Mm.
but I'm excited nonetheless. Any excuse to see my gorgeous boy on screen. Love him to death.
What's your thoughts on this, Jimmy? Yeah,
I don't know. Again,
yeah,
I echo Charlie's. I feel like we're bashing Star Wars, and it's not Star Wars. We love Star Wars. What we don't
Yeah, I
like
love
is the
Star Wars.
people how they're handling the news of Star Wars. Like that's
yeah,
you know, yeah, I definitely see this happening. Like it makes sense for him. I mean, there's a reason you bring a character like him. You, you know, you mocap
yeah.
someone who has some acting chops, so you can bring them
Hmm.
uh, into Star Wars live action. Right,
Yep.
all those characters are being played by certain people that you could bring in,
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
them in this, and that would make a huge
Yeah.
amount of sense. Um, Something Dave Filoni would do for sure. I could see it. I mean, he loves that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, why not? Sure,
Yeah.
go for it. Let's make it happen. Don't force it. It needs to fit. It needs to drive, the story of the third video game forward. That'd be
Yep.
cool, right? I said that a while back. Was like if Cal Kestis showed up in Kenobi and sent him on a mission, and that was like your mission in like the third video game or something. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I need you to go do this, and then you go do it, or something happens in this, and he disappears, and he's off doing his thing, and you're
Mm. Yeah.
responsible for it. But yeah, I think it's fine. I have not seen these photos. I mean, I would assume that it'd be pretty obvious. I mean, he's got some specific hair, um, so.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are other gingers out there in the world too. So don't. There's
Yeah.
more than one. I think there's more than
Yeah.
one ginger out there. So, um,
Interesting.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, let's go for it. Why not? As long as it fits and makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
Yeah.
Marin's there with them.
Yeah. And I'm about to say that as well. So I'm going to echo exactly what Jimmy said. More than happy. I reckon 3 out of 5 happening. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I'm sure we were told there would not be a fourth Cal Kestis video game. I'm sure Jedi Survivor would be going up to 3, and that would be it. 3 games of
Yeah,
Jedi Survivor, yeah?
only
So
three
does
games.
this mean then that the game is going to be set before or after this film? Because if it's set before, it's sort of spoiled the game. So again, they've got to be careful what they're doing. And if it's set after the film, then maybe they have to be careful of what they put in the game so they don't spoil the film, depending on when the game is released.
Mhm.
To me, I think the game will be set before the film with the events and everything that's happened so far, game wise. If they set it after the film, it's going to be very complicated, I think, to iron out. What's your thoughts now I've said that? Start with you, Charlie.
I I genuinely didn't actually think about that as a point of interest. Um, I would like to think that the last game will come out after the film, which
Mm,
is slated to come out in 2026, I believe. So there's plenty of
yeah,
time to get into game development. I think they're already starting on, I think they've been starting on the third Jedi Survivor Fallen Order game for a while now. So who knows?
yeah. Jimmy?
Oh, maybe they have. Oh,
That is a tough one. I'm trying to think of the timeline in my head.
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna do this one day. I'm actually gonna do what I keep threatening to do and put a chart up here of when everything's happening,
Yeah.
so I can look at it. Um, we have
It's
talked
difficult.
about we talked about this in the Ray movie, possibly, where we have the
Mm,
big Avengers assemble moment where Cal
yes.
Kestis
Yeah.
comes flying out of Tanalorr and he's got his small army with him. Time
Yeah.
can work differently because I mean I feel like it's a different galaxy, possibly.
Yeah.
We said this is the way that you bring in and you rebuild the Jedi Order just like that. Boom, and there's no explanation. But if you do that in the movie, and you don't explain it in the video game, then you ruin the video game. Like, I think you're right, Jack. I think that they kind of have to. I assume that the movie will come out before the video game, because I know video games that creating those. I mean, that's like a
Yeah.
5-year process. And I know they've had some setbacks with like Stig Asmussen stepping down and things like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would say, and this movie not having been even announced at Celebration 2 years ago or whatever, that the movie happens. If he happens to be in it, then his adventure in the last video game takes place after this. He comes in, he shows up. Why couldn't they run into him out there on a mission doing something?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty simple. So
Yeah. No, 100%. Awesome. So that wraps up then this week's episode with all the rumors. And if you're still with us, thank you for joining us. And also at this point of 23:29 UK time on the 26th of the 1st, 2025, the Explore the Force has hit another milestone on Instagram. We've now got 2,500 followers we have reached. So, Jimmy, take us out, buddy.
Well, we want to thank those people who pushed us over to the 2,500 mark. As always, a massive shout out to all the listeners and the viewers and the people on all of our social medias. We keep doing this because of you guys. We love talking Star Wars. We love adding your guys' comments into our into our scripts and things like that. You've got questions, you've got ideas, let us have them. Without you guys, the show does kind of get stale. So keep the comments coming. And thank you all for all your love and support so far. We look forward to, we're not even 2 years old yet. So we're looking forward to getting to that landmark and then moving forward from there.
I have had an absolutely fantastic time on social media with our fans this week. It has been super, super nice to post stuff and get that engagement back. That always makes me so happy. And remember, if you've listened to this episode, if you're here right now, you need to make sure that you like it, share it with all of your Star Wars friends and family. Follow us on all of our social media platforms, and all you have to do is search Explore the Force, all one word. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Awesome.
All right. And for all of us, for all the rumors, for all the news, for all the pirates, for all the Mandalorians and Grogus and whatever else we talked about today, we have spoken. We'll see you guys next week.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
Close your eyes. Feel it.
They'll do their job well. I'll guarantee that.
I am going to end this once and for all.
Sure. We're home.
You were the chosen one!